As everyone is still laughing and recovering from what they saw with this versus battle, I find it interesting that only a few people are reporting about RKelly and his sentencing day. And at the same time, those that are reporting on it, they're not balancing the information, letting you know he's still up for an appeal. He's still fighting this unlawful conviction, and at the end of the day, we can see through witnessing this disastrous versus battle that R&B is unfortunately dead. Now, when I first heard about this versus battle between Mario and Omarion, I was excited considering this is my era. These are the people who I would be a fan to, obviously, because of my age. And granted, there were so many talented individuals on that stage, but the ghetto hot mess that I witnessed was absolutely absurd. And with all the cheap shots we heard them throwing at one another despite supposedly being friends, it should be clear why some of these artists have animosity behind all of the decisions that were made behind the scenes when it comes to who gets certain songs and who's writing for who. So once you got past all the little petty comments they were going back and forth about and all the ghetto ratchetness we saw in between each person performance, I just find it very hypocrisy filled when people see these women willing to do the most with these celebrities, but then act brand new when it comes to others.
The best day of the R&B of the year go. Hey, y'all think it's so crazy. He's not. If we tried that, we could. Somewhere to climb. It's warm long as you were. Hey, yo, stop.
Now, considering many individuals on that versus stage have been involved in so many scandals themselves, the mere fact that all these people with this mute RKelly hate train don't have the same energy across the board is the biggest red flag, and why I never ran with any of the allegations against RKelly, regardless of what you personally believe. Yet to let people target a person's art and then take their personal issues with that individual to deprive them of their right to provide a living for themselves and their children is absurd. Now, if individuals had the same energy for these corporations that they have for these artists they're trying to extort, maybe some of this propaganda would have swayed me. But doing my own research, I find it very beneficial to advise everyone to look at the common denominators with all of these stories. Look at the fact that these people 1 minute tell us we are enabling certain behaviors. Meanwhile, they were in the industry with these people and didn't say boo. And kindly remind yourself that all of these defense tactics you hear being put out here through RKelly's new defense have been applied through other individuals and are at this very moment a very hot topic. So just my opinion, that's why it appears that people like Cash Jones came to me talking about how RKelly needs help. All these so-called fans and supporters want to keep putting out there that RKelly needs help. But as a person who don't know any of these stories to be true, I cannot go with the fact that he needs help. However, anybody with common sense will see that anybody is going to use any defense tactics necessary to lighten their sentence. Now, still, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, let's not forget we're still waiting for an acquittal and or a retrial on the matter. What's funny is something I mentioned a long time ago when I first started watching these versus battles, and how a lot of these artists don't even own the masters to their records. So let me take you back to how everybody laughed and ridiculed RKelly for his I Admit song. But how many actually listened to what he said and the red flags he drew that would signal to all these sheep in the industry that maybe you need to start checking into your masters, which is why they wanted him silenced in the first place. Yet you got to be a special kind of slow to let an individual like Jim Derogatis, who built his whole career slandering Robert Kelly, yet when it came time to testify in the first trial, he was more concerned with concealing these sources who have incriminated themselves in an effort to extort a legend. But again, nobody wants to hold any of these people in the industry or pumping these stories in the media accountable for all the stories they put out that failed to give this man his presumption of innocence and now has everybody looking hella crazy.
Something good